Hi, my name is Jason Takube. I'm co-editor-in-chief for the Ogden Insider magazine. It's Ogden's newest publication. I'm here today with Ogden's very own Mayor Godfrey. It's nice to be here with you today, and we're really, well, thank you. We're really honored that you take out time of your day to be able to talk to us, a local business. Sure. We wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for Ogden. I know you've done a lot here in the past few years. One thing in particular that we're excited about is the junction. Now, what were a few of the obstacles that you, Ogden City, and the businesses had to kind of overcome to be able to get this done?
Well, it was a very challenging project because we had a large enclosed mall, which a large segment of the community still saw as viable. So they saw this mall as having fallen on some rough times, but with a little paint and some new tenants, it was going to get fixed up. And the problem was that as we went around and tried to find tenants, we got the same message over and over. And as we tried to find developers, which is critical, because you need somebody to own the mall who's willing to help recruit the tenants and pay the mortgages and do all that needs to happen to run a mall. None of the developers were interested in that kind of a retail product because they were failing all across the country. So locally, people didn't understand that. They remembered this as having Nordstrom and ZCMI and the Bon and all these stores that at one point created a lot of vibrancy. So they couldn't understand why we would suggest tearing that down and rebuilding an outdoor open air mall. So that was a challenge. Second challenge was the financials. I mean, how do you make that pencil when you buy a building for $6 million, then you have to raise it, put in new infrastructure, and build new buildings that will work. And so we understood that this was a really difficult concept for people to understand, and trying to get that message out and help them understand why the old mall was never going to be viable. It would be an albatross in the middle of our city for the next generation if we didn't do something dramatic. It was all challenging. Then figuring out a way to make this new plan pencil and to finance it was also more difficult than many of us anticipated. Then the third challenging thing is changing the paradigm. So you had a parking structure that the community thought the mall was fine. They thought the problem was a parking structure. We heard that over and over, that there is this urban myth that the reason the mall failed was because of the parking structure, that people were scared of the parking, and so that's why they stopped going. And the facts didn't bear that out, but it was a perception that people had, and so they kept saying, why don't you just tear down the parking lot and leave the mall? And so when we did just the opposite of what some were thinking needed to happen, that created problems as well. So we had to reinvigorate the parking structure so that it looked and felt new and safe, and would be a different experience than what they'd had before when they went in there. And then putting the pieces together was also really challenging when you have a ground zero effectively, and you're saying this is a vision and this is how we want it to look. Getting the first players to come in was really hard. To pull the Solomon Center project together was tremendously difficult because it had never been done before, and we had to get multiple players to join hands in this venture. Had to convince the Treehouse Museum to stay in downtown and build a building there, and then Larry Miller to build theaters in the downtown core. And then after all that was put together, we had to have a developer to build out the rest of the mall. So all of that was really difficult to do because we were selling a vision in an area that had failed in retail and had been blighted for a number of years. And so that whole process was overwhelming and difficult in the pragmatic sense of moving the project forward, and then trying to keep the community informed and bring them along as to why this was necessary. Made for a very dynamic project for sure.
Well, that's very interesting. All I can say is that I know lots of people around Ogden are very happy for it. I mean, it's turned out beautifully. I know that we go down there multiple times a month, sometimes a couple times a week, catch a movie, go check out the bowling or, the restaurants around there. So that's really good. You've created a lot of different fun things down there for a lot of different people.
Thank you.
Is there anything else planned in the near future on Ogden's horizon that we should be looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, there's a lot that will happen, hopefully. Right in front of the junction, on the east side of the junction, there's a big empty parcel, and That's slated for retail on the bottom floor and a hotel up above, and that will create a lot of activity to that downtown core. You know, put another beautiful building there, but bring people on the streets and help make that project succeed. So that's something that we're working on in the Ogden River project, which is 18th to 20th Washington to Wall. We continue to assemble that and tear down buildings as we go, and we got $1.3 million to help clean up the river itself, restore the banks, and make the river more attractive in terms of getting back to the natural banks and the riparian habitat and those kinds of things. So that will help move that project along, and I think we'll see some big things. You know, other things are on the way. People have been wanting someplace to shop downtown, because we're bringing a lot of housing in the downtown core. Walmart is slated to begin their construction this fall for a super center in downtown, which will provide a shopping option for the downtown residents, and then will obviously help with our tax base as well. So. And that's a handful. There's a whole bunch of others. IRS Phase 3, which will bring, I think, another 1,000 jobs or so downtown. And that's going to clean up 5 acres of the downtown core. And that will be done as a private development, so it stays on the tax rolls. And so a lot of things still moving. The key is always getting the financing, getting the. It's a really challenging environment to get the banks to loan money, even for good projects that make sense with the